Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation here. Today I will be going through my small business advertising campaign for the company HJ Mix and Master. Hopefully you guys all have fun today and it's not too boring of a presentation. So first things first, we're going to start off with the mission statement from the owner, which conveniently is yours truly. And my mission statement for my company is to provide exceptional top-tier music industry level mixing and mastering at an affordable price for musicians and startup record labels. Oftentimes, guys, when I go to studios and I notice a lot of musicians paying, upwards of $65 to $75 just an hour just to record their songs, and then mixing and mastering is included in that rate. But obviously, you're not going to be scheduling 10-hour long sessions. So you have to come back and forth a whole bunch of times and end up wasting a lot of money. So today we'll be explaining how I will take care of those dilemmas. I've conveniently added a screenshot of my Thumbtack page where people can request for my services. So if there's any musicians in the class, check your boy out. So my current social media outreach, I'm going to be using three main ones. There's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Twitter obviously has the heftiest amount of followers with 15.9 thousand. Instagram second, it's 1,071 followers, and with the Facebook, 470 likes slash followers. So totaling for my social media outreach to be about 17,441 followers, which isn't too bad. That's actually a pretty decently sized amount of reach for a relatively local musician. So on to the next here. We're going to be starting off with our SWOT analysis. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. First things first, we're starting off with our strengths here. I try to keep them fairly simple. First and foremost, we offer quality services above all else, and also affordable pricing. So these two are going to be the main driving points of the advertising campaign. We also have great customer service, fairly easy for customers to get in contact with us through any of our social media pages as well as through Thumbtack. Apologize for the phone there. Couple strengths here. It's a low cost of operations and maintenance. So once you have all the equipment you need for a studio and all the knowledge, there really isn't much more left to invest into other than time itself, which is why I put the low cost of operations and maintenance as one of the strengths. And also, one I would say is also a very good strength slept on is easy access to consumers, a low hassle. So this meaning you don't have to call me or, try to find out my email or anything like that. You can simply look up, mixing and mastering services near me and find me on Thumbtack, which is one of the first things that pops up when you look for studio services and mixing and mastering services. So those are the strengths. Let's move on to the weaknesses here. The weaknesses, pretty obvious. It's a small workforce, so it's just me. There's no face-to-face interaction with customers since I am doing everything based off of online work. There's going to be a large amount of effort and time put into projects since the mixing and mastering will be done by hand rather than automatically. Now, what I mean when I say this, mixing and mastering, obviously, I have to open a program in order to do this. And there's a lot of online websites now offering automatic mastering services, which we'll get into a little bit later. But just keep in mind that mainly everything will be done by hand and on a step-by-step basis by, once again, yours truly. Another one of the weaknesses that I have is a small local influence or popularity. Really there's no people around, screaming and raving for HJ Mix and Master. So, I kind of have to go based off of my online market and really go more based everything just on online results and driving Google ads and stuff like that. And then my last weakness here is there's no physical location or store, which goes in with no face-to-face and a small local influence, just based off of the simple fact that a lot of musicians like to go to a actual recording studio in order to get their songs done. Whereas with me, they might have to record somewhere else or, just using any means necessary and then send me files basically, which is a little bit of a hassle somewhat since it's easier to just walk into a studio, lay everything down, and then have the engineer work on it either on his free time, which we pay him, or schedule another session in order to do more work. So those are the weaknesses. Moving on to the opportunities here. Came up a little bit short on the opportunities. It was kind of hard for me to identify all of them, but I got a couple here. One of the opportunities that I'm noticing is there's more and more younger musicians using social media as a platform to conduct music business, specifically marketing, but it's very good for networking as well, especially Facebook. I notice a lot of musicians, getting in touch with each other over Facebook comments, messaging for whatever, services. So definitely there's an upward trend of younger people, younger musicians using social media, which is an opportunity for me to promote to them using social media since I have a larger audience on there. There's also an upward trend of automatic mastering services being used, showing that the market is rising. So we went over this a little bit in the last slide in weaknesses. When I say upward trend of automatic mastering services being used, I mean things like Lander.com that you can check out on your own time. Basically, once you've finished recording a song, if you're a DIY musician at your house, you can basically record a song, mix it yourself, and then upload it to Lander, where they can automatically master it for you. The issue with that service is the fact that there's no hands-on approach. You can't really talk to the person doing the engineering or the mastering, since there isn't anybody actually doing it. It's based off of plugins and basically just things set up by the system so they can use it. And the third opportunity here is consumers, specifically musicians, typically do not want to do any of the mixing and mastering work themselves, since it requires years of practice to do correctly without being supervised, which makes our services more attractive in the end to the typical musician. Some of the threats here, these were a little bit easier to come by than opportunities, but still came up a little bit short. I don't have five. The threats here, the first one that we're going to go over is DIY professional studios, so do-it-yourself professional studios for rent that allow musicians to bring an engineer who knows how to mix and master. You have studios like these that are very open. There's nobody running them necessarily inside. You might have like a front desk or something like that, but basically you would just rent the studio and everything will be there for you at a cheaper rate than how much a regular studio will be if you're paying for an engineer to be there. Yet you can rent this room and bring your own engineer if you'd like. They might do a flat rate for you. They might do it for free if they're your friend. So there's that opportunity for musicians as well, which is a threat to my business. There's also cheaper rates for recording studios in the local vicinity. I've been noticing the rates are going down for some studios, not all, but it is a recent trend that I expect to grow a little bit more. Another threat here is other online mixing and mastering services that do so automatically are readily available. So basically what this means is basically just going back to Lander. There's a lot of different services that will do this, and there's also a lot of similar services to mine, but nobody really offering money back guarantees or anything like that or a flat rate. And then the last issue here, the last threat is major record labels buying out or signing artists and other record companies to deals, which takes away from my general customer base. Obviously, when a record label signs somebody, they have their own recording studio that they have the artist or record label work with, and basically this would take away from my customer pool since those people cannot work with other mixing and mastering services or engineers or studios once they've been signed to a label contract. So that's the SWOT analysis for the business here. The next thing we're going to go over is the two objectives that I have for the business. Now, the two main objectives for me are to increase brand awareness and to increase sales and client base. So we're trying to get the money in and make sure people know who we are. The first advertisement that I'll be using, it's going to be this one here with a picture of a famous rapper, Kodak Black. It's a little bit more of a funny advertisement. It's a meme, and it says, when you realize you wasted hundreds of dollars for mixing and mastering when you could have just went to HJ Mix and Master for an affordable flat rate. So obviously a little bit funny there. The target market for this is going to be musicians living in an urban or suburban setting with a minimum household income of $40,000 annually. We're going to have mostly males being targeted for this ad. All races and ethnicities are opened and encouraged, but it's mainly going to be for African American males since I am a hip hop engineer, and typically there's more African American males doing that type of genre than other ethnicities. And the last demographic here, we're going to be looking for our target market is the age range of 18 to 25, since most musicians that are very active are in a younger age range, from what I've noticed personally, going to studios and working with musicians myself. The business mission of this advertisement is to engage with a younger audience of musicians to identify potential customers and inform them of our brand. So, once again, brand awareness, and we're looking for a younger audience of musicians here. Next advertisement. This one isn't really funny. It is in the meme format, but this is really all I had to edit pictures with. So it's more of an informational and meant to give us credibility ad. It's really giving me credibility. So what the target market for this ad is, it's musicians and small label executives. Again, minimum household income of $40,000 annually, living in an urban or suburban setting, mostly male oriented, all races and ethnicities open to this one, with a higher age range of 32 to 40, since these people are more than likely not going to be looking at any kind of funny memes of Kodak Black or anything like that. So basically just looking for an older audience here. The business mission, like I said, is to engage with the older audience of musicians and label executives and inform them of our brand. This is where our B2B contacts are also going to be coming from. So that's our second advertisement. The third advertisement, I'm going to be offering a promotion. It's also going to be a picture, which informs the audience. The target market for this is, once again, going to be musicians and small label executives. You're going to notice all of the target markets are pretty similar. It's because we want a good base for the audience to work from. So, like I said, musicians and small label executives. We want 18 to 40 years old, so a little bit more open with the age on this one, just because we're going for a more broad audience, more broad reach. We once again want living in urban and suburban settings. The reason why I have this, mainly most musicians and a lot of record companies are placed in urban and suburban settings. So this is the areas where we want to be hitting. Once again, the minimum household income of $40,000 annually. I have this as a base because studios are quite expensive and mixing and mastering services are still quite expensive, even if you can offer them at a cheap, affordable rate like I can. So we want people who are able to afford our services. Once again, we're encouraging all races and ethnicities, and it's going to be mostly male oriented, since the particular genre of music that I do is mostly male dominated. The business mission for this advertising in particular is to raise sales of services by offering a discount or promotion and a money back guarantee. Just one thing that I do for customers here, to help them out with their services. So just in summary, I gave you guys the mission statement from the owner, which is me, which, like I said, was to provide exceptional industry level mixing and mastering at an affordable price for musicians and startup record labels. And I've given you guys the current social media outreach. And once again, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you guys have a great rest of the semester and hope you all kill it next semester. Thank you very much.